In the last week, I've been ambushed by over a dozen MBA ones seeking advice on how to pick their super round classes. They've been lost, they've been confused, and they've wanted guidance on what to rank first. Like our Distinguished Teaching Award winner has done countless times in his infamous or famous life hacks lunch sessions, I offered the answer, which was simply choose Graham Weaver's Managing Growing Enterprises class. Graham has not only raised the bar for all GSB classes, but it has become a staple of our community in ways that extend far beyond the classroom. From hosting wellness club lunch sessions to giving advice to searchers and investors, Graham's principles have really ingrained themselves in the fabric of GSB culture. I was lucky enough to take Graham's class last quarter. It cost me my first super round slot, so naturally I came in skeptical. Could this class really live up to the hype? And week by week, role play after role play, Graham proved why his class is always one of the most in demand at the GSB. He meticulously prepares for every session. He meets in small groups with the students. He replies to every single email. He takes 19 round trips from San Francisco to make it down here, and he does this all while running a multi-billion-dollar private equity fund. I've gained far more than just the class content from Graham's class. I've seen firsthand the rigor and the dedication he brings to the way he carries himself every day, and truthfully, that's what I'm going to remember 10 years from now. It was the best class I've ever taken, hands down. Don't just take it from me. Here are the testimonials from other students who have nominated him for this award, and I quote, "Just exceptional as a teacher, no other commentary needed. Graham invests an extraordinary amount of time and emotional energy into his classes. It's rare to see someone so invested in their students' development in and out of the classroom. Dreamweaver is the most inspiring person I've met at the GSB, and the competition is fierce. No exaggeration, Graham has helped me become a happier person. Graham's a mentor of mine who has completely changed my trajectory post-GSB. He inspires a winning mindset in his students and embodies GSB's core values like nobody else. And lastly, Graham has single-handedly given me the most transformative learning and personal development at my time at the GSB. In summary, Graham is a world-class teacher, but he's much more than that. He's a cornerstone of the GSB experience. He's become a role model of mine because most of all, he teaches and he cares for his students from the heart. So Graham, we're so lucky to have you. Please give it up, everybody, for the winner of our Distinguished Teaching Award, Graham Weaver.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you, David. That was incredible. So my journey of teaching started 22 years ago. Irv Grossbeck and Janet Feldstein wrote a case about me. And it was a case of me that started when I was 25 years old, and I was buying companies in my dorm room at Stanford GSB. And spoiler alert, everything goes wrong, everything. And I've now that I teach a class, I realize that in every quarter, there's a token failure case. And I realize now, upon reflection, that was the role that I played in the curriculum, because everything in my company went wrong at the time. I made management mistakes. I hired the wrong leaders, and by the way, lost money on 3 of the 4 investments that were featured in the case. So, but what's interesting is, the first time I taught the case, in front of students, I think I was 28. I bombed, like the kind of thing where a comedian comes up and they talk and sometimes they nail it and everyone's excited, or there's crickets. It was the second one. It was not good by any stretch. That's not false humility. It just wasn't good. So then I went to lunch with the students, and there were about 8 students at lunch, and I realized they didn't really want to hear about the X's and O's of hiring a management team or leadership or why I made this investment. What they really wanted to talk about was how I overcame the fear of failure to start a company, and what that process was like. And that I actually had to share with them. And then they also wanted to understand, now that my worst case scenario, the failure, had actually materialized, how bad was it? And the answer was, it wasn't as bad as you make it out in your mind. And that experience, I realized I actually could help students. Even though I didn't have a lot of success at that time, because a lot of the failure cases, they're 30 years out and then they have a lot to say subsequent. And me, I just had the failure. But what I realized was that experience would be really the cornerstone of my teaching philosophy, which is that students definitely want to know the X's and O's of building a company and leadership. And my courses that I have taught here, Managerial Skills, Managing Growing Enterprises, they cover those things. They cover hiring and firing and difficult conversations. But what students really want and what they really need is help on this journey on their life and the personal growth that goes with that. And that's the thing that I have a lot of energy for. I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins, as some of you know. He's maybe the godfather of executive coaching, which I'm also a big fan of. And he says people will hire him to teach them success, but what they really need is fulfillment. And I look at teaching here very much like that. I get paid by the university to teach, which is incredible that I get paid to do this, but I do. I get paid to teach the X's and O's of building a business. But what students really need is they need help on this journey. They need to find out who they are. You all need to find out who you are at your best versions of yourselves. And you need to find out deep down what your real dream is. And then you need to find out what's getting in the way of that and where your fears and doubts and limiting beliefs and what's scaring you about that might hold you and keep you from doing that. And then we need to conquer those and make a plan to go live your dream and become the best version of yourself. And that's why I show up. That's why I commute down here from Marin 20 times a year. Isaac Newton said that if I've seen further than others, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants, and I have stood on some absolute giants' shoulders. So just a few people to call out. So the people who taught my case in the early years in MGE, I learned so much. So that was Irv Grousbeck, Dick Allen, Joel Peterson, Kevin Toohill, Jim Ellis, and Peter Kelly, and David Dodson. So that was amazing. That was 12 years where they invited me to come before the success part of the case had been written. David Dodson, I want a special shout out. I co-taught with David for 4 years. And the very first time when I was going to meet David to talk about teaching with him, he's sitting at this table, and I walked up to shake his hand, and I said something about, I'm excited to give back to the students. And he said, yeah, you might be giving back, but this, you can't think about it like this. This is a gift. There's 100 people that would die for this job. You have to wake up every day and treat this like it's a gift. And I was like, yeah, David, nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to teaching together. But that definitely stuck with me. And of course, Irv Grousbeck, who wrote the initial case on me and was the one who tapped me to be a teacher and has just, for many, many, many hundreds of students, been the voice telling you that you can and making you feel like you're the most important person in the room. I want to thank my partners at Alpine, because the day that I told them that I was invited to teach and told them it was going to be a big distraction, they didn't blink and they didn't hesitate. They just knew how much energy I had, and they covered the slack while I'm here for the quarter, which I wouldn't be able to do without them. And my family, who's here, some of them, they put up with my many nights and weekends, because that's what it looks like when you have 2 full-time jobs. And they also are guinea pigs for all of the exercises that I put many of you through. So they know their dreams and genie goals and limiting beliefs. And most of all, I want to thank all of you students. Teaching a group of people, you throw yourself into this with so much energy and vulnerability, and you try out role plays and share your goals and walk through your limiting beliefs and really put yourself out there. And it's really clear to me that you all want to actually make a big difference in this world, and I get to be a small part of that. So this is maybe the most meaningful award that I've ever received. Sorry. It means more than you'll ever know. And David was right. Teaching here really is a gift. So thank you.